Hey, welcome back to Blue and Blur, everybody. My name is Mark, and this is RJ, and today we're going to talk about the passing of Bob Pulford.
Yes, folks, Toronto Maple Leaf great Bob Pulford passed away on January 5th at the age of 89. One of the Leaf greats of all time. And personally for me, this is a tough one because he's my, growing up, he was my first, my first love, I,
Yeah,
I totally worship this guy, and I've got a little story to tell about that.
he's my Guy Lafleur.
He's
my
he's
Guy
Guy
Lafleur.
Lafleur
Yeah.
for you, and I wasn't much of a when I was like 5 years old, my dad was watching hockey, and I was interested in why he's doing that. And Mom brought home a cereal box one day, and she said, "Oh, there's hockey players they're putting on the back of the cereal boxes," and it was Bob Pulford on that particular day, and she handed me the cereal box, and anyway, after we finished it, I couldn't wait to eat all that cereal, and we cut the picture out, and I actually found it in my garage the other day. That's that's the picture of Bob Pulford. That anyway, I just fell in
Do
love
you
with him.
remember what kind of cereal it was?
No, and I was trying to think of that. I think it was a Kellogg's. I don't remember
I
what
could
kind of
see
cereal it was.
Kellogg's doing something like
I
that.
know.
Yeah.
I think it was Kellogg. It wasn't Wheaties. I know it wasn't Wheaties. That would be a standard answer. I think it was a Kellogg's, and it was like Corn Flakes or something. My
Yeah.
mom wouldn't buy sugar cereal, so I know it wasn't Sugar Pops or Cap'n
Yeah.
Crunch.
So for a guy like me that I'm not that familiar with Bob,
Yeah.
what was his greatest accomplishments with the?
Well, you can go sit beside producer Neil. I can talk for a long time on this one.
Yeah, maybe I'll just go sit behind the camera.
Well, we'll just start off with his career. I mean, the guy was born in Weston, and his family moved to Newton Robinson, a little burg north of Toronto. And anyway, he eventually got signed by the Toronto Maple Leafs and played in their farm system and worked his way up, won two Memorial Cups for the Toronto Marlboros, and then was elevated to the Toronto Maple Leafs. And that was at a time when the Leafs in the 50s were in the middle of a rebuild. And Pulford, we've got the dynasty in the 60s, and Pulford kind of kicks it off. His first big highlight for them is in 1959, the semifinals. End-to-end rush, scores the winning goal in Game 7, third period, late in the third period to defeat the Boston Bruins. And the Leafs go to the next two finals and lose them. But then eventually, of course, we have the dynasty of the 60s. So Pulford kicks that off. Also kicks off the first Stanley Cup in 62 against Chicago. He scores in Game 5, series is tied 2-2 in Toronto. He scores 3 goals in an 8-4 win, and of course, Leafs go on to win Game 6. This is all before my time, so I got into Pulford I started watching hockey in the 63-64 season, and again in 64, Game 7, Detroit, the finals, Game 1, Pulford scores, it's 2-2 again, and Pulford scores end-to-end rush, shorthanded goal, puts it over Terry Sawchuk's shoulder with Gordie Howe chasing him, 2 seconds left in the game. And Leafs win Game 1 of that series, go on to win that cup. And Pulford in 67 again is there for that cup series tied 1-1. Game 3 goes into double overtime, and Pulford scores the big goal to win that game 3-2, and the Leafs go on to win that series in 6. So Pulford scored some really huge goals for this franchise, and played for them for 16 years. And a couple other big tidbits about him. The Mark, you'll be interested in this. The penalty boxes, they're separated, right? The Bruins go here and the Montreal Canadiens go there, and all your famous fights with them. It wasn't until 1963. You can look this up if you Google Bob Pulford and Terry Harper. Bobby Pulford and Terry Harper got in a big fight on the ice. At that time, they only had one penalty box. They would put all the. I can't believe it took till 1963. All the major fights that like Rocket Richard and those boys got, Ted Lindsay, but Pulford and Harper resumed altercations, fisticuffs in the penalty box. Police had to get in there to break them up, and after that, Clarence Campbell, the president, announced from now on arenas would have to be built with take some seats out. The NHL actually had the cheapos. They had to take some seats out and build 2 penalty boxes. Mm-hmm. So Pulford is and Harper are the inventors of that. And another big thing, he was a big Alan Eagleson, who some of the young folk won't maybe know, but Alan Eagleson quite a controversial figure. Bob Pulford's kind of ground zero for him. Alan Eagleson was president of the Players Association, and there was a lot of scandal later on. So a lot of NHL players probably don't like Bob Pulford for that. But Pulford and Carl Brewer and a couple other hockey players for the Leafs at that time were playing lacrosse in the summer, and Alan Eagleson, they met him, started up a little investment club, and he was a lawyer. And one thing led to another, and Eagleson became a player lawyer, and Bobby Orr, and next thing he became the Players Association, started up, and Bob Pulford was the first president of the Players Association. And anyway, the other big thing for me, other memory is, I'm telling you, it was my hero worship. So this is the thing about when you're growing up. Santa Claus, when you find out Santa Claus is not, hopefully there's no really small kids listening, but you find out Santa Claus isn't real, is a real growth moment for you, a maturity. And the next one, when you're, as a boy, when you're worshiping a hockey player or any kind of athlete for that matter, and they get traded, and when Bob Pulford got traded to L.A., Los Angeles Kings in 1970, I realized that, hey, hockey's not just hockey; it's a business. That was the first time I realized it was a business. So that was like a Santa Claus moment for me. And one small other thing that I remember about Bob was I did get to meet him one time. The Players Association held a golf tournament in Woodbridge, and I lived up north of there in Kleinburg. I went down with my autograph book and got a lot of autographs of NHL players, and I got to walk up to him and ask for his autograph on one hole, and I asked him if I could walk the fairway with him, and no problem, kid. And we walked up there, but I was so starstruck. I remember it, but I don't think I talked. I couldn't. I was so starstruck. And I really liked Bob Pulford, and I don't know if you don't remember him or anything, but any questions?
No, it's probably a little bit before my time, and when I was a kid, I would strictly just watch the Habs. Like I said, I was a Guy Lafleur guy, so right around that time when he would have been.
Well, he was gone by the time you were probably born.
Yeah, exactly.
He went on to, actually to. We'll finish up, but he traded L.A. and he became the L.A. coach with Marcel Dion there, and he rejuvenated that franchise. They were never the great team, but they got into the top 7 or 8 teams with Pulford's tutelage.
How many cups did he?
He won 4 cups with Toronto,
cups,
and then from Toronto he moved on to Chicago and was coach, and then eventually took over for Tommy Ivan and became general manager, and was general manager for about 10 or 12 years, and then was club president, and coached them several times. So he's in the Hall of Fame. Some people say he's in the Hall of Fame because of his 4 cups. It's kind of if he played for Boston or the Rangers, he probably wouldn't. It's the 4 cups, but he'd be in the Hall of Fame anyway. For those that cry about that, he'd be there as a builder with the Players Association, and later on switching to the other side.
Yeah.
And one of my things I still do for every year when the Cups won, I look at the team that wins, and I try to go, wow, I wonder who their Bob Pulford is, because he was really quintessential to those Leaf Cups.
Right.
And
so who's the Bob Pulford today?
Well, I look at the Florida team that's won the last 2 Cups, and I would say that if you took Matt Taychuk and Sam Bennett, he's not as good a goal scorer as Matt Taychuk. And he's not as ferocious as Sam Bennett, but he would be a hybrid of those two, because a lot of people he did not skate around players. He skated through them. He was a really tough guy. He would drop the gloves, and he was a really tough checker. And one last thing to end it all, his last famous moment with the Leafs, of course, is the most famous empty net goal of all time. It's Stanley takes the face off of Beliveau, gets the puck to Kelly. Kelly gives it to Pulford, and it's Pulford who gives it over to the Chief, George Armstrong, to score that. It's the only, I can't imagine any other hockey team in the NHL being so excited about an empty net goal. But here we are, folks. 59 years later, and Bob Pulford passed to George Armstrong for that empty net goal to seal the deal in '67. So, God bless him. He was a great player. I've lived a whole life with him in my thoughts, and to wake up the next day on January 6th and Bob Pulford's not on the planet. It did affect me.
Yeah,
I don't mind saying that. I can get emotional about it. He was a very special player.
Yeah, tough week for the NHL with the loss of Glenn Hall and Bob Pulford. These are 2 legends that'll be remembered forever. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like this video. If you have any comments about Bob or Glenn and you want to share them in the comments, go ahead, share them down below, and share your stories of Bob and or Glenn. And we'll see you in the next video.